waves are wuthering, as Wuthering Waves 2.0 has been making waves in the community. That is probably too many wave jokes, my bad. Anyways, my name is Mikey, and now that we got a bunch of new players here in the newest update of the game, I like to give you my best advice when it comes to the free-to-play polling strategy when it comes to Wuthering Waves. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so before I jump into this first topic, I'm just gonna put it out there that I will be talking about meta strategy in a way, but it's also always important to summon for characters you actually want to obtain on your account. So if you're a simp and your waifu or husbando is on the banner, and I'm saying husbando as well because the men models in this game are amazingly done well. Actually, quite frankly, the art style of Wuthering Waves needs to be studied if I'm gonna be honest. Anyways, basically what you want to do is come up with a game plan. If you are free to play, time the swallowed uphill that you cannot obtain every single character that is coming to Wuthering Waves, even if Wuthering Waves is very free to play friendly. But it is also important to note that when a character comes out for the first time, there's always going to be reruns available. And if you don't know what a rerun is, it's basically when a character gets released on a limited banner, then once that limited banner reaches its time limit, it will come out later down the line within a set time period. But for the most part, you are still able to obtain lots of dope looking resonators. It's also very important to remember that the 4-star resonators in this game can always be placeholders or actually fit into your team very well. Essentially, when using a placeholder, you can use a certain unit in a specific part of your team while you are waiting for a certain character, or you are focusing on other parts of your team, like building other characters up that you want to prioritize, for example. I'd also like to mention that Wuthering Waves relies a lot on skill and is very combat oriented. So with sharper mechanics and good strategies within your team and characters, you can clear content without meta picks. And if you are just starting out and care about meta with your free-to-play vouchers, I would highly recommend getting Verena. Verena is a top-tier support character that provides lots of value towards your team. She is also one of the most versatile units in the game, being able to play alongside many other characters with ease. A cool thing about Wuthering Waves is that you should be able to obtain 3 free 5-star resonators at the beginning of the game. So you can very much strategize whether you want to stack duplicates or get multiple units off the bat to work around. Now, another major reason why I feel like you should invest into Verena, besides the fact that she's one of the best characters in the game, is the sole fact that most of us, I would say about 90% of us, love summoning for flashy DPS characters like Carlotta on this current banner, for example. So why not knock the good support character out of the way first and then be outright to the extent and start thinking about cool flashy characters next? I am honestly trying to save y'all from a mistake that I made, because what ended up happening to me is I went for Encore and now she's benched over my Carlotta, Camellia, and Jinshi. So I completely wasted my voucher because I won't be fielding Encore over these more flashier units. Now, of course, this does not mean the standard banner DPS characters like Encore and Kalchar won't work. It's just typically gamers who like to invest their hard-earned Asteroid or Gotcha summons into a flashy, newly drip marketed character. Also, Kalchar is pretty flashy character despite the fact that he's from the standard banner, but I'm sure you guys get the gist of the point I am trying to make. You should highly consider summoning Verena, as you may come to regret it later like I did. Now, if you are currently playing and you are past this point when you are going for a new character or planning to summon, always ask yourself if this character is going to benefit me in the long run for my account. Kind of like how Verena is a very strong option for the start of your Wuthering Waves journey and can pretty much support you as a character for your account for a very long time as a meta unit. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to most support characters over DPS characters, they have less of a chance of getting power crept. And for those of you who don't know what power crept means, or rather power creep, it's essentially when a certain specific limited banner character comes out, or we can reference a standard banner character, for example. It is actively when a new character comes out, and we're gonna use a Vegeta saying over here, and basically overpowers the most recent unit. And please don't get mad at me for this. I'm just using 2 characters as an example. This is not studied, but I'm just trying to give you guys a point here. Yeah, so like Jin looking at Camellia, for example, be like, is Camelia's power level over 9,000? That type of thing. Actively, the example I gave here is that Jin came out way before Camellia did, and when Camellia came out, she basically came out stronger than Jin because she was later down the line. And now, like I said, this isn't concrete proof. I'm not sure if Camellia actually is stronger than Jin, and I'm sure there's a bunch of videos out there that will tell you who is stronger than who, but this is just an example of me using 2 characters. And this always tends to happen when it comes to DPS characters, so it's just something you should keep in mind. And that's why I was saying Verena is a really good pick as well, because when it comes to support characters, they basically last longer and is great for the longevity of your account. If you made it this far in the video, about 99% of you guys aren't subscribed, so smash the subscribe button down below so you can never miss a video. Thanks. I think it's very important to understand what exactly you are getting into when it comes to summoning on the banners. This information is very important when coming up with a strategy so that way you do not waste summons. So each banner takes about 80 summons total to guarantee a 5-star character, and you can lose a 50-50 just like most gacha games. Now, what is a 50-50, you may ask? Well, a 50-50 best explained is basically out of the 80 summons you put into a limited time banner. This discloses the standard banner because when you summon on the standard banner, you are always randomizing which resonator you will obtain. So when it comes to limited banner, out of the 80 draws you summon, once you get that 5-star character, you essentially can get someone from the standard banner as well. And if you do, this means you lost your 50-50. Now, if you get the character on the limited banner, this means your pity resets. Same thing happens when you are drawing your first 10 summons out of the 80. Out of your very first 10 draws in the standard banner or the limited banner, you are guaranteed a 4-star resonator or higher. So yes, if you want to be very, very specific about your summons, you could trickle it down and always go for the 4-star versus the 5-star on a single summon. Now, I mentioned the word pity. What exactly is pity? So basically, when someone says, for example, I am 3 pity, that means there are 3 summons deep out of the 80 for that banner. Now, a very cool thing that I love about Wuthering Waves is that weapon banners have 100% guarantee on them. So essentially, if you do get signaled that you're about to get a 5-star weapon, it's gonna no matter what be the weapon on the banner, meaning you cannot lose a 50-50 or 75-25, however you may look at it. If you see gold, you won. And that is one of the many cool free-to-play friendly features Kuro Games has for us. All banners have the same amount of max pity, which is 80, except each banner has its own individual currency that can all be purchased with Astrate. Also, the standard weapon banner is a selected that is 100% guaranteed, and it shares the same summoning currency as the regular standard banner. Now that you understand the way the banner system works, you are one step further into starting to decide which characters are going to be best for you and your account. Now, I gave you a little bit of an example of this early in the video when it came to Verena and why you should consider having her if you are just starting out. Now, I want to retouch on that subject because in the endgame mode Tower of Adversity, you face off a wave of enemies or difficult high-level bosses and mobs that you not only cannot die from, but you also have to clear within a specific time limit with other stipulations. Right now, as of update 2.0, there is 2 really strong units for support, and that's Verena and Shorekeeper. With that said, if you did miss out on the Shorekeeper banner, she will get a rerun eventually, or you can just wait for another unit to come out that is going to be a very strong support unit. You kind of get the gist. You should try filling all the roles on a singular team competition before moving on to the next, so that way you have 2 concrete teams for endgame. Now, this does not mean you have to go for meta units all the time, because at the end of the day, pull for who you want to pull for, but for your first 3 characters on your first team, you should focus on that before moving on to the second team. Basically filling every single role on the first team, such as support, hybrid, DPS, and then moving on to the second team and do the same thing. And then once you have 2 concrete teams that you know that you can clear endgame content with, then have a blast pulling for who you ever want to pull for. This is also just my advice, so take it how you want to take it. You can also always test out new characters before you actually summon for them, so you can get a feel for their kit and see if the playstyle suits you as a player. I would also like to mention you should always research your character kits to see how they could properly fit into your current lineup of characters, and just don't summon blindly, because then you might end up with a character that doesn't really fit into your team comp well. You can also check the 4-star characters that you can obtain from the limited banner, because you can stack up on duplicates as well as go for a character you really want, essentially killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Sometimes having multiple duplicates or sequence nodes of a resonator may benefit your team better overall than just summoning for the 5-star character that's on the limited banner. So that's why your research is very necessary before summoning and deciding which characters that you want on your account. Speaking of which, typically in gacha games you want to save your premium currency for maybe extra summons, but it's very important for you guys to know you can actually save up premium currency for extra duplicates of summoned limited banner characters, which is absolutely insane and another cool feature Wuthering Waves has to offer that differs from other gacha games. Okay, I know you guys just want to summon as soon as you're able to, but listen, if you want to build the strongest account possible as a free-to-play player, you absolutely got to stop wasting your summons. A lot of people have this weird misconception that they just got to start summoning for pity. For example, the current banner is Carlotta. Some gamers would basically be like, oh, I'm going to start building pity for Phoebe, who is later down the line in the chapter 2 of this update. This, my friend, is a no-go. Like, why can't you just wait until the Phoebe banner drops? The only way I understand and I could give an excuse for this is if you actually do not mind having Carlotta. It's quite simple though. Do not summon for characters to build pity, and do not summon for characters you don't want. I get it. We all got that itch that we want to gacha gamble as much as possible. But come on, man. Show some resistance. Especially if you have a low amount of Astrate and you are just single summoning every time you get a chance to. Doing this allows you less options when it comes to drip marketed characters that you could potentially want. Especially if you're doing the whole building pity thing as well, because once you do that, then you just kind of never have summons. A thing I like personally doing is saving up all my Astrate in between characters I don't want. Because seeing a big number of gacha currency is definitely a lot more comfortable than seeing almost nothing. It's kind of like investing into yourself at the end of the day in like real life. And I know this is a gacha game, it sounds totally lame, but hear me out. Doesn't it feel much comfortable having money in your pocket than not having anything at all? Well, take the gacha currency in the same way. I mean, not having any gacha summons and you see a character that you really want that's coming out soon is gonna prompt you to take out your wallet and break that bank account. And I'm here to prevent that as your gacha accountant, because we're not gonna let that happen. So just stop wasting your summons. Also, I'll also give you guys another thing to think about. Ready? You know how whenever you see a new gacha character get drip marked and you're like, wow, I actually really want the character, they look cool. This process is gonna repeat over and over and over and over again with any gacha game that you play besides even Wuthering Waves. The development team is always gonna make a new character that you're gonna absolutely want on your account that's gonna be absolutely hype. The development team knows this. They know what they're good at. Trust me, you're gonna always want a new character that's coming out soon. So if you have to give up on a character that you maybe couldn't have gotten, then so what? It is what it is. And again, I would like to remind you guys that characters do get reran, so if you do miss a character, you can always get them next time. All you gotta do is plan ahead like we went over earlier in this video. For the last piece of advice that I have for you guys is I want to talk about the weapons, and more so like the weapons that come with the limited banner characters. So sometimes if you only have enough to actually roll for the gacha character, or you don't really get the character in early pity, then you're left with only a little bit of Astrate to actually pull on a certain character. This is where the standard weapon banner comes in. Ultimately, sometimes the weapon isn't really worth it when the character is actually worth it more in point, it's something that you guys got to think about sometimes. Or you got to think about sometimes that a standard banner weapon 5-star is nearly just as good as a limited banner option that's the best option for the character you just summoned for. So if you are trying to accumulate as many characters as possible with the best team compositions, for some of the characters it might be wise to actually give up on the weapon. And I know sometimes it sucks though, because you want to get the aesthetic plus the character. Trust me, I think like that too. What's the character without the weapon? It really gets me mad sometimes when I don't get it. I'd also like to mention that at Union level 45, you obtain a free standard banner weapon selector out of a crate. And in this crate, you could pick any of the 5-star standard banner weapons that you want. So that's just something to think about. And that is all I have for today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video or gain some valuable knowledge, please smash the subscribe button down below so you can find your way back to my channel. Also leave a like, comment your thoughts, join the community Discord pinned in the comment section down below, and you guys have yourself a nice day. Peace out.